I've been thinking today about how challenging it is when we try to make a change in our lives. Right now, I'm trying to go wholeheartedly into a new way of eating, and it's taking effort. And I thought about it for a long time before I felt ready to really commit to something. One of the things that I think comes up for us as caregivers and those that support families in the childbearing year is the need to be in contact with how difficult it is for the mind to grasp and take in new information, and how hard it is to make a change. Um, I teach the process of change in a number of our programs, but certainly in our first year specialist program, and also in centered care. And I think it's a foundational skill for anyone who is a lactation consultant or educator as well. When I worked as a midwife, I recognized that if I was going to ask a laboring person to change positions, for instance, um, because maybe it would be better for the mechanics of progression and descent of the baby, or maybe because there were fetal heart tones, whatever, all those reasons why we suggest that someone should change positions in labor. Often it took, we all know if you've been a support person at a birth, maybe it's going to take a few contractions before that person really feels ready to move their left leg over to a bended position, so that they can shift maybe onto their side. That making a change at a time when the brain is inundated with the intensity of labor is no small feat. And we've learned to be really patient and kind, and to hold space for that, recognizing that making a decision and taking an action takes some time. When we're working with families, when they're caring for their baby and maybe we're suggesting a lactation intervention, some of the same phenomena happens. And I think that we're not learning enough about that in our training to understand why change is difficult. Why do our clients run into obstacles with implementing a plan that you've agreed on together, you've worked together? I know from working with practitioners that are passionate about supporting new families that each and every one of them wants to be empowering and supportive and affirming, and to have this foundation of deep respect for that person and their experience. But I think that there are some skills that we're missing. And in our upcoming webinar, we're going to talk about some of them. We're going to talk about the 7 stages that someone needs to go through in order to be ready to implement something new. And we're also going to talk about the brain of the new parent and the factors that diminish resiliency and capacity to learn, to take in information in sequential steps, to make decisions and to feel sort of centered in their own experience. All of these factors that we need for making a change, this resiliency factor, is compromised for new parents. And as providers, when we're sensitive to that and skillful, we will learn how to ask the right questions at the right time and to truly get to the heart of that empowering, supportive, respectful presence that we're trying to convey. So I hope you'll join us for a conversation. We're going to touch on these topics and more in our webinar, just to give you a brief sense of what are those obstacles that we just haven't quite figured out in our care relationships, even though our intention is so good and our heart is so there, wanting to be this kind, non-judgmental, compassionate presence that allows people to figure out what's right for them. But we also need to do the work of understanding our own minds and our own habits and conditioning of caring for others. So there are ways that in WisdomWay's programs we're focusing on understanding not only our own minds and experiences as those that want to be a benefit, but also having a deeper understanding of the mind states of the people that we're caring for.